Harry, this is that Exiles issue where Morph fights the imposable man. Told you I had it, didn't I? Mission unposable. Trying to keep it light after that 40-minute video. This is Exiles issue 49. A very simple story, and it is entertaining. The Exiles arrive on another reality, only to find that it has been taken over by the imposable man. He has transformed the Avengers into paper dolls, and he has put a giant toilet on top of the White House. Take that, George W. Bush. Here is the lamest advertisement I have ever seen. The Exiles, if you don't know, they are an excellent men team that travel to different realities and try and fix those realities. Their team roster is made up of a plethora of all the excellent men characters that you only know from the Andy books, like Mimic, or our star for this issue, Morph. Morph is a shape-shifty mutie, a mainstay of the Exiles, and he is a very fun bit of visual comic relief throughout. He often transforms into random things in the background of panels. That is where most the charm lies. For example, the rest of the team might be talking about Captain America, and so in the background, Morph will transform into the American flag. Let's explain the history of Morph, the most forgotten about Excellent Men member. Morph, also known as Changeling, before DC took that name, and then DC gave up on that name. He first appeared in Excellent Men 35. He was created by Roger Thomas and Werner Ursroth. He was the henchman of the bad guy and a complete non-presence. You don't actually see him in that issue, only his shadow. He is the person who was collecting the knocked out Squealy. This is him again at the end of issue 36, and then at the start of 37, which had Andrew Ross art. We saw his face on the next page, but you wouldn't know it was him were he not referred to as number 2. It was that issue where we finally got a full look at him later, and he was coloured completely differently to earlier in the issue. It's not worth even talking about him, his master, or their evil plan. It's really not worth it. In issue 42 of the series, Dr. X died. Except he obviously didn't. It was later retconned that the Dr. X who died was in fact Morph, who was impersonating Dr. X. We learn Morph was dying of cancer probably, and so he and Dr. X had this secret plan where Morph would pose as Dr. X, and so retroactively Morph was a member of the Excellent Men. He was later resurrected by Black Talon, the funny chicken man that I love. Of course, there is more to the story of Morph. He is an Excellent Men character. They all have complicated histories. We will get to that. Right now, we have Mimic, another often forgotten about Silver Age Excellent Man. He is scouting ahead on this Earth, and he is then attacked by the Unposable Man. When it comes to the Unposable Man, this issue is one of his best stories. I recommend it. The rest of the team, they assess what is going on and what has happened on this world. Morph notices that there is a weird disc stuck to Unposable Man's brow, and some of you might recognise it straight away, but the rest of you will have to wait a total of 2 story pages to learn that it is one of the comptroller's control discs. I really like the unseen backstory here. The metaphor they use sums it up great. Comptroller found out about Unposable Man, and Unposable Man was the equivalent of a genie, and with his control discs he thought that he could bottle this genie. Comptroller is an hard baddie. Iron Man, Captain Marbles, the real one, Marvel, an issue of Captain America. I won't get into him in this video because other than this bit of backstory, he doesn't appear in this issue. So he wanted Unposable Man under his control, but it didn't work out for him. The disc reacted weirdly with Unposable Man and drove Unposable Man insane. And now we have this absolute mayhem with an unhinged Unposable Man. And it is up to the Exiles to try to stop this demented Unposable Man. So Morph, his resurgence came with Excellent Men, the animated series. Morph replaced Thunderpath as the team's early death. He died in the pilot, although he naturally came back as muties are prone to do. After some renewed interest in the character, Marvel reintroduced them in Age of Armageddon, which is where he adopted the white, puffy, almost featureless face. Also, taking inspiration from the cartoon, this version of Morph was often utilised as comic relief. This served a purpose in that story, a story that was quite bleak and serious, while Morph allowed a small amount of lightness to creep into the otherwise overwhelmingly miserable world. Morph was subsequently a founding member of the Exiles, and he remained with the team until, let's not talk about him or his Exiles run that even his hardcore fans hated. Morph had a few story arcs on the series. His main character beat was a crush on his teammate Sun Girl, but then she got buried under a building. The Unpausable Man is very quick to dispatch the majority of the Exiles, turning them into dolls and toys, and also a bucket of chicken. Morph is another matter, because Morph can transform himself back into whatever he wants. And these like-minded, shape-shifty pranksters, they flirt around for a bit. Morph keeps Unpausable Man on his feet. Morph is presenting a challenge for Unpausable Man, while also telling jokes to make him laugh, trying to get him to snap out of his insanity, which the control disc has caused. This is the Morph Mini-Mate they made. I quite like it. This is the version from the animated series that I made. And this is that with the head of the Morph one. This is how he appears in a new cartoon that I won't watch, no matter how many times you comment telling me I should watch it. Unless Cyclist is drilling Emma Frosty's, I will not engage with Excellent Men content. In the end, Morph succeeds by doing some so-so comedy routines, like, "Hey, I found my wife in bed with my best friend, so I said, 'Bad dog! Bad dog!'" It's better than Eurovision Kong Sun Test. This causes the control disc to short circuit, which frees Unpausable Man. Then he has a bit of a mental breakdown when he realises all the horror he has caused while driven deranged. This is a nice done-in-one story that lets Morph shine. And it is a clever idea to have him go up against Unpausable Man. And I haven't even begun to discuss the idea that Morph is non-binary. Of course he is. He seems to favour transforming into female forms. Him being non-binary is obvious. It doesn't mean that you have to call him they or them. I am sure future writers will make that the case. But at this time, he is a he who is canonically gender fluid. I'll give this my 7 thumbs up rating.